you've got, see what you want, make it your life and go for it. It's just a question of what you want from life. You are the maker of who you are right now. The best is over, forget it and move on. Your present's yours and tomorrow's on it. Give importance to their insane rants. They tell you nothing and they say that you'll be less. Because they soak you in will keep you on a leash. It's just a question of what you want from life. You are the maker of who you are right now. The best is over, forget it and move on. The present's yours and tomorrow's on it. Don't listen to them when they try to put you down. They're running scared and they want to keep control. Believe in yourself, they don't mean how to put you up. They feel adrenaline when you do what you can do. It's just a question of what you want from life. You are the maker of who you are right now. The best is over, forget it and move on. The present's yours and tomorrow's on it. It's just a question of what you want from life. You are the maker of who you are right now. The best is over, forget it and move on. The present's yours and tomorrow's on it.
He also broke the 800 record along the way. And we'll have live coverage of the selection trials each day right here on Sports Australia, the heats and the finals. And don't forget Insight, where we look at our preparations for Kuala Lumpur each Wednesday night right here on your Commonwealth Games station.
Football League that's produced some of the legendary champion teams of world soccer comes the clash between PSV and Feyenoord tomorrow night at 9 on ESPN.
It was the finals of 1996.
Kick of his career. Any score will do. He kicks.
Two of the game's upstarts, Sydney and Brisbane, made giant strides towards the flag. It took a great North Melbourne team to end their dreams. The football world back then appeared their oyster. A year and a half later, how things have changed. Sydney is undefeated. Brisbane winless. How their lives have changed. And how Tony Liberatore's life has altered in the blink of an eye. Adversity has been at his shoulder for much of his life. He's always managed to defeat it, but life had one more blow to land. We wonder whether this gritty little warrior can bounce back one more time. Hello again, and thanks for joining us on Football Feedback. Well, it's a night which will determine the future of Bulldog Brownlow medalist Tony Liberatore. He's under the knife as we speak. Kevin Sheedy will be joining us after another failed Anzac Day mission. As usual, there are several issues to discuss with the Bomber coach. Nick Holland will also be along as we celebrate the end of the Hawks' 12-game losing streak. We'll be crossing down to the tribunal where Brian Waldron is standing by. And before any of that, let me introduce Dermot Brereton. And the Hawks saluted at last, Dermy.
They got up with a win, didn't they? But I tell you what, it's going to be a fantastic show tonight. There is just little tidbits everywhere. Something was happening in just about every game.
Got anything up your sleeve?
No, when young Nick comes in, I might have something to talk about, though.
Good, look forward to that. Gary Lyon, I mean, you can almost see the aura of glamour surrounding him and everybody associated with Melbourne at the moment.
Glamour? Well, that's it, yeah. The makeup girl did a very good job, I don't think. Not sure about glamour, but we're obviously pretty happy, Tim. 4-1 after 5 rounds is a start that we hoped for.
Sky the limit?
I'll keep the lid on it just at the minute, but yeah, we reckon we're okay. I think there's some critics around who still think that we're yet to prove ourselves, and that's probably fair enough. We get a good chance this week up in Sydney against the undefeated side.
And Rowan Conley, as ever, with us from The Age these days.
Correct, yes. I was up in Sydney yesterday watching your opponent next week, and they weren't overly impressive, I have to say. You might be some sort of chance.
I can't wait to get an in-depth match report from you that I can pass on to Neil Danaher.
Why do I gather you're being just a little sarcastic there?
Well, it's as though there was only one win in Melbourne on the weekend, but there were 7 others, beginning with Richmond on Friday night. The big Anzac Day clash won by Collingwood, although Hawthorn won a big Anzac Day clash too over Brisbane. Still winless, 41 points out at Waverley. Fremantle, what a tremendous effort that was on Saturday night. Melbourne, 49 points over Port. St Kilda, 22 over Carlton in a slog at Waverley Park. Sydney remained unbeaten, downing the Bulldogs, and Adelaide scored its 2nd win of the season, beating Geelong. We have an outright 8 at the moment, with a game gap between 8 and 9. Sydney careering away in front, ahead of the Bulldogs, Melbourne and St Kilda. That is a funny looking top 4, isn't it, when you think about where those teams were a couple of years ago. Collingwood, North, Richmond and Fremantle making up the 8. Carlton and Geelong played a grand final just a couple of years ago, and they're down in, 14 and 15. And Brisbane, from the top 4 premiership favourites last year, currently on the bottom after 5 rounds.
Tell you what though, Tim, you look at that and honestly there could be like 2 games between at the end of the year, 14th and 7th. I mean, you drop 2 close ones somewhere along the lines, could be very costly. I don't think the competition is going to be very, very even again, even though we've got a couple of breakaway teams, 5 in total. 3 teams are still a breakaway team with only 1 loss against their name.
So does that mean you don't have to be a good side to finish near the bottom of the ladder, or does it mean you don't have to be a good side to actually make the finals anymore?
Well, Sheeds, I think, was a great pusher of the final 8. We'll have a chat to him. I'm not so sure when he comes on.
We'll get to him fairly shortly, but first things first, I suppose it's one of the great tautologies these days on Monday night to say it's a big night at the Tribunal. It always is. Tonight, Mark Graham, striking charge. Justin Lepich, also a striking charge. Anthony Rocker, that's a big one for Collingwood with Carlton coming up. And Peter Somerville for striking his teammate, Nasidi. I think that should read Monkhorst.
Yeah.
Let's go to Brian Waldron, who can sort out the confusion for us. He might even have an early result. Brian.
Yes, good evening, Tim, and it's certainly a bit chilly out here tonight, and it's certainly very chilly up there in the Tribunal because the first case has just been held. Mark Graham of Hawthorn and Justin Lepage up for striking each other, and unfortunately, after an 80-minute hearing, it's bad news for both players. They've both been suspended for 1 match. There was no vision of the incident. Both players said they just attempted to push each other away, but umpire Craig Clark, a goal umpire of 157 game experience, said that he saw both players strike each other with an open hand to the face. Chairman Brian Collis agreed, and they've both been suspended for 1 week. So very disappointing for the Lions, looking for their first win. I know they get Keating back this week, but they've lost their #1 spearhead in Justin Lepage. So that's a very disappointing start, also for Mark Graham after his good form on the weekend. We now go to the second case, which has just started. Anthony Rocker of Collingwood, back in form, has been charged with charging Joe Mercedes of Essendon. Rocker will plead not guilty to that charge. That has just begun now, and we'll wait for the outcome of that. A very interesting case. I suppose the fact there is late collision may well go against Rocker, but Gerard Sholly, the football manager from Collingwood, did tell me they will give it every possible chance they can to get their rising star off. And the third case tonight is Peter Somerville up for striking Damien Monkhorst of Collingwood from that first quarter collision on Saturday in the Anzac Day clash. And I can tell you, and I'm sure if you have a look at the vision, that Peter Somerville will plead guilty. Disappointing for Somerville. He does have a poor record at the Tribunal, so it will be interesting to see what verdict is brought down upon him.
Any suggestion he might plead temporary insanity on that one, Brian?
Yeah, I think what we laughed at tonight is Monkey's up there in his tracksuit, Tim, and he's very relaxed about the whole thing. He really did take a fair dive, but Somerville, as they said, they would have to plead insanity to plead anything but guilty. Of course, we have some very big cases up tomorrow night, Tim. I know we cannot show any vision of it. The Paul Kelly incident is a very interesting one, and I can tell you that I'm sure if they do plead guilty, the Swans, they will do so under provocation, and the evidence that is given will be very interesting. I think it may well renew a little bit of fire and brimstone amongst the two clubs after the weekend, because the players involved, certainly there is a retaliation involved of an incident that did occur to Kelly.
And can you tell us who the alleged provocateur was?
I think it's fairly straightforward. If you read the report sheet, I think Mr. Dimartina may well be under some fairly close scrutiny tomorrow night when the investigation does come under place. Also tomorrow night, Anthony Rocker up for tripping. David Mensch, there is some suggestion that one will be withdrawn. And the latest one, which is also another bad blow at this stage for the Lions, is that Dion Scott has been called up on trial by video for charging Paul Salmon following Saturday's collision at the first centre bounce. So a busy night tonight, a busy night tomorrow night, but I will be back later, Tim, to give you the result of the Anthony Rocker and Paul Somerville case.
Thanks very much for that, Brian. Brian Waldron.
That'll be Anthony Rock tomorrow night. Brian put a on the end of Anthony Rock.
That's right.
That is the North Melbourne player, Anthony Rock.
Trip at the Wacker, alleged trip at the Wacker on Saturday night. But the news that is through, as Brian said, Mark Graham and Justin Lepich have each incurred the wrath of the tribunal and a 1 week's suspension apiece for striking each other.
He was travelling all right, Lepich, too. I saw watched the replay on the weekend. He's actually struck a bit of good form there on the weekend. And Mark Graham, no one would doubt he's Hawthorn's best person in the back half. I just question him with no vision, Gary, and it's up to the umpire over distance to make up his mind. And given some of the results they've given on goals or points of late, when you test them over a bit of distance, are they qualified to make that assumption?
Is this an official of the club?
150 games goal umpiring experience doing.
Is this an official of the club?
Oh, don't put me in like that.
Yeah, that's up for $2 grand. Let's see if we can get 4 out of him.
You've got to give him an out, though. You said that.
That was going to be my question. Why call those two blokes up to give evidence? I mean, it would appear to me that they don't take any notice of it. I mean,
really,
they're both going to say what they're going to say, but in effect they're saying, well, you're lying, boys. We're going to believe the umpire in this situation a week each.
Well, they've got to be given a chance, though, on their own behalf.
I understand that.
So what did they do for 50 years prior to the introduction of video evidence?
Well, it would
let
appear...
them off.
No, they were just much better liars.
Increasingly so in the last couple of years, the evidence of the player is totally irrelevant.
I went to the appeal the other night on the Grant matter. That was fascinating because, I mean, there were 2 items of evidence for the prosecution. One was the umpire. Well, the Bulldogs produced umpire Grant Vernon, who's done something like 15 or 16 times as many games as umpire Humphrey Smith, who made the report. But it seems that his evidence that it wasn't a reportable offence was ignored. And the other item for the prosecution was the videotape. That was seriously undermined by John Lyons, the film and videotape director. But evidently no notice was taken of him. There was a biomechanics man who said that the first contact was to the chest, right-hand side. Evidently no notice was taken of him, and the verdict stood. One does wonder whether there was a reluctance, I suppose, the first time the appeals panel sat to overturn a verdict. There
will be a big push on this too about the video evidence outcome situation. I know this was reported on the spot, but it looked like, obviously, the video evidence of the strength of the suspension for Grant was on the viewing of that videotape. There is going to be a big push, and a lot of people within the film industry are going to say, try and teach certain people, certain areas of the AFL that the film can lie. Now, I still reckon there's nothing better than the naked eye on the spot, but still in some occasions, may be worthwhile questioning it also.
I was going to say, can you see the whole appeals procedure becoming, you know, like a passing parade of film directors? We're going to get Fred Skepsy and Peter Weir up there. Could be more.
Look, it's not that complicated. It, I think, is about convincing people, just teaching them that you can't. Sometimes there's a bit more to it than meets the eye, and they've just got to be a little careful in to what extent they regard the videotape as being infallible. Anyway, that's another story for another day. What is today's news is that Tony Liberatore is under the knife after what happened in Sydney yesterday. What a tragedy this is. Now, there's a suggestion that what happens here might have actually been a secondary incident, but there was one earlier on, Rowan.
Well, my understanding is the one that we've just seen, the Dunkley Shepherd, was actually the thing that caused the injury. Now, he went off and came back about 7 minutes later when the second one happened.
Bit in that, I reckon.
But, well, watching it at the ground, you probably got an even better appreciation of what happened. And Dunkley ran basically 3/4 of the length of the field, and he had a fair head of steam up when he got him. And he was really hurt, Libba, and they wanted to take him off there and then, and he tried to struggle on. And yeah, I think that is the story, that the second incident basically just aggravated it that little bit more, but it's the first incident that's caused it.
And the outlook for him, it sounds grim,
well,
doesn't it?
Basically,
he's 32 years old.
I mean, the Bulldogs have put out a statement today, even before the arthroscopy, which he's having right now.
This is the second one now, incidentally, so we've seen the first one, and this is the one that looks as though it has aggravated.
Now, you might notice there that he really sort of lunged at him too, as though, you know, I would have thought just watching the lead up to that, maybe his mobility was already affected there, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, we always say it with these injuries, but it just didn't appear to be too much in that particular incident, so that would suggest that maybe there was something in that.
The Bulldogs have already put out a statement today, even before they know the result of the arthroscopy, saying it doesn't look good. It looks like it's basically the full reconstruction, and you know, sad as it would be, you really do have to question whether we're going to see him again. I mean, he's 32.
Why do we though? I mean, I heard that the whole way through the reports, and here
this is arriving at Victoria House in Paran earlier this evening. He had indicated he would do an interview, but apparently it had been a pretty busy and no doubt stressful day for him, so he was reluctant when he arrived.
Yeah, like, as I was just saying, I mean, the first news I heard was that Libba maybe was going to need a knee reconstruction and that would be the end of his career, so I naturally assumed that maybe he'd made a statement to the effect that that was the case, but I don't see why at 32 years of age it's...
You're not talking from self-interest here, eh?
Oh, rest assured, I won't be going down at 32, I can tell you. But Jason Dunstall came back. Jason Dunstall, how old's Bungle now?
A little bit, yeah, he's older than me. That's I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
He's old. He's very old.
But, I mean, as good as Libba's been for the Bulldogs, you couldn't argue he was as critical to them as Dunstall is at the moment to Hawthorn. I think that's an exceptional
I think in Dunstall's favour too, although he does take a lot of stress. He lead, jump, market, fall, that's stress when he hits the ground. He's mainly straight lines.
Oh, I see him doing a fair bit of twisting and turning.
Look, without sort of undervaluing the job that Libba does, don't you think that over the course of the past year they've developed a side skillful enough to need him less than they used to, perhaps even a year ago?
No doubt about that. I've just got to say one thing about him. I reckon, given the stature of the club at the moment, what he means to the players, I think they'll give him every opportunity. And I think Libba will be a decision made in the March draft next year. He probably won't come up quick enough, but what they will give him the chance to do just after Christmas is to show his pace. I mean, Libba's going to have a run-with role if he plays the rest of his career out, you know, next year. That'll be the end of him, I'd say. It will always be a run-with role. The thing that'll kill him is if he doesn't have enough pace to go with players. If he has pace in straight lines, by Christmas, I reckon they'll persevere with him.
And if they don't, Kevin Sheedy will pick him up.
Couldn't do.
We'll ask him about that very shortly. It's incredible, isn't it, that with the Steins sequence eventually over, Libba was next in line, and the very next game he played, he's out of business.
Would have been drawing a long bow to suggest he would have gone past Jimmy. I think he's 164, Jimmy was 244, so Dermot.
He needed 4 years.
That quick.
That's a fair bit. 34 and whatever.
I think Jimmy was safe nonetheless, but it is pretty
Now,
odd.
who's next on the list?
Do you know?
No, I was hoping you would, Tim.
I did see it on a list somewhere, and I can't remember. I just looked at Libba's
Marcus
name.
Ashcroft, I think, from the Brisbane line.
Gee, that's a good get, Gary. How did you know
very
that?
good.
You and I
Just
never
came-
troubled him, Gaz. I think I strung together 6 in a row once.
I'm on the all-time record at the minute 4, Dermot.
Actually, don't you think that's a feat in itself to have a Brisbane player hold a record of any kind? I mean, it's been the competition 10 years.
Come on, they've won a reserves flag. Actually, I can just see the scenes now. If the Bulldogs win the flag, and they look as though they'll be in contention. I remember John Longmire a couple of years ago, tearful after North won it, and you get Libba's an emotional man. I think there'd be no dry eye.
Things like that happen, don't they? No, Peter Crimmins, when Hawthorn won in the mid-70s, even Desi English, mid-80s, when he contracted cancer. That type of thing, you know, a little bit of personal heartache tragedy within the club.
Well, some other injuries, Rowan, and Wayne Schwass, tear-away Brownlow favourite early, is another one.
Yeah, I don't think they're too concerned about this one. They were saying after the game last night it's basically just a bit of bruising to the heel. I think he's probably better than 50-50 chance to play this week. It's probably more the Eagles, I think, that would be worried at the moment because they've got basically a truckload of injuries. Now, the one we're going to see here is Dean Kemp getting concussed, and it was a fairly not handy...
Speaking of truckloads.
Yeah, well, fairly reminiscent of his bump on Gary O'Donnell in that final back in '95, I think. But he was in Noddy land, and I think he'd have to be in a fair bit of doubt for this week.
Double
Stretching doesn't look great, does it? Sharp hanging out of that.
He's a heavy boy, Gaz.
I think that's what he's meant to. See how they're supporting the head there and letting the shoulder go through. Not so much as that. But he actually got the double hit then. He got the hit on the from the point of the shoulder on the cranium, and then I reckon his head's hit the ground first as well.
Not a good feeling, Bill.
But that's really just the start of it for the Eagles. They've really got problems. Brett Hedy's missed 3 games already with an ankle injury. He's almost certainly going to miss again. John Worsfold's got a quadriceps injury. He'll miss. Mitchell White, a hamstring just after he's come back. He'll miss 1. Ben Cousins has got a corked hip and he's extremely doubtful. Jason Ball's still suspended, and Jared Schofield, who was a late withdrawal last Friday with an ankle, he'll probably miss again as well. So big manpower problems there.
Is it too early to say this season for the Eagles already looks like going the way of a couple in recent times, where by the end of the year it's just all looked too much? All the travel, some older bodies.
The only thing I'd say is that they're just such a professional. The actual players they put on the ground, they're very professional. I would have liked to see Mitchell White get, you know, his half a dozen games under his belt before he missed one with a nagging ache and pain. But tell you what, there's a few on the weekend.
It's a good point though, I think, Tim, and I really noticed it, and I know you'll bring up the old person's crack here, but going to Brisbane there a couple of weeks ago, and that takes it out of you. It really does take it out. It's a long trip, and then to have to do that every second week, it's a big ask.
Shows how good they were in those years, doesn't it?
I reckon they're a better side than 2 years ago. They've got, you know, a lot of good kids. Gary's, you know, looks like he's going to be anything. I think they've got more to look forward to now than they had probably this time 2 years ago.
I agree with that. What about on the weekend too? I saw a horrible one out at Waverley watching the replay of young Trask. Gary, when you fly for the mark and your legs get taken out from underneath you and you end up on your back. The poor kid, he got a bit injured out of that too. So there was injuries everywhere on the weekend.
Yes, that was a nasty one. We'll have a look at that. Nick Trask will also hear in a moment from Scott Turner about that unloading of Dean Kemp. But this is Trask.
They're really worried about this initially. I spoke to Peter Blucher tonight. He's only just gone back to Brisbane today, actually. He spent 2 days staying with his parents here. They did a lot of tests on him at Dandenong Hospital, a lot of scans and you know, basically just a lot of precautionary measures because of the potential seriousness of an injury like that, but he's got the all clear. What they're saying is he's just pretty badly bruised right down one side, so I think he'd been a bit of doubt for this week, just quietly, but you know, it's not no permanent damage anyway.
Just back to Dean Kemp, and we caught up with Scott Turner today, the man who unloaded him, and as it turned out, as Turner explained, Kemp was the victim of some good coaching by Malthouse, who created a mismatch, but alas, it led to Kemp's undoing.
I went on just early in the third quarter and went on to Morrison, so he's running me around a fair bit, so I was just on Morrison, and Morrison sort of took me under the ball towards Kemp, and I just nice hit in the shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, now it seems to be something of a hallmark of your game, because remember the one against Gary O'Donnell, is that something you sort of pride yourself on?
No, mate, just I've been in the right spot at the right time a couple of times, and they're the players that have got me road, really, yeah.
Yes, Dermy, well, you sort of studied that videotape closely. It was as though you were just watching, and did he execute it absolutely perfectly?
You don't get it much better than that. Well, that was 4 runs, Gary. It was off the meat of the bat, that one.
Absolutely. That was Rod Grinter, Chris Mew.
Oh, didn't he nail Mewey that day? Let's not talk about that.
87 preliminary final.
Yeah.
This is Craig Treleaven and a broken hand, Ron.
Yeah, broken bone in the hand, and I think Dermy about 6 weeks, they're saying for him. So
a little bit of light concussion. It actually took a bit of sting out of him too, because he got the whack on the head coming through. His left hand there gets caught in there, and a little head goes into the chest. He's a pretty crook boy. I think he got a little bit of what would you call it? He went a bit light-headed with it as well. He was in a bit of bother there when he came off the ground. But yeah, to fix one of those bones in the middle of the hand, I think they're saying at least 4, 5, possibly 6 weeks.
And the other one that's really serious out of this week is Mark Stevens. A bit sad, this one, because he's doing pretty well since coming across from North and really looked to be another goal-kicking option for him. And actually, his knee is so swollen they haven't been able to do the arthroscopy yet. They won't be doing it till Wednesday, but that probably tells you enough, I think. And they're saying anterior cruciate ligament, and that'd obviously be the end of the year for him.
Cruel blow, and there have been a few of those in Adelaide's attacking half. Tony Modra, Scott Hodges and Matthew Robrin as well in recent times. So some ill-fated forward players, and Mark Stevens, former Kangaroo, joins the list. We've got Kevin Sheedy coming up after the break, and as we go to the break, we relive Stephen Patterson's remarkable double banger on Anzac Day.
Tough shot from there. Another poster, a double poster.
Cannon.
Well, how often do you see that? Is that a two-point kick? Yeah.
Don't know the reason why you love me this way.
Don't know the reason why you're there every day.
But I know when I hold you near, you are the reason I am
May means sporting mayhem on the Channel of Champions, Sports Australia. Soccer and the English Premier League is coming to an end with Man U and the Gunners fighting for the crown. Basketball. It's the Women's World Championships and our girls are a shot at the title. Cheer on our opals with exclusive breakfast coverage. NRL. Exclusively live games brought to you by Sports Australia's expert commentary team.
Beautiful stuff.
Plus every game replayed at a time to suit you. Netball. The Commonwealth Bank Trophy continues. Australia's best battle it out for club glory. Swimming. The Telstra Commonwealth Games trials continue. Rugby. Campese, Rugby's My Life. An exclusive look at one of Australia's greatest ever players. All this and more mayhem on Sports Australia.
Nice Harley.
Lucas from outside 50. Lloyd's the target. He's got it. Big Sam's in front. He's got it.
Momentary grab, but certainly not held or retarded. He bounces with Footy.
Beautiful goal. That is sensational play. Oh, clever by Mal Michael. Here's a chance. Watson kicks it a goal. What fantastic play by the Pies.
Another Anzac Day, another loss to Collingwood. The Bombers have slumped to 2-3 and face the Bulldogs on the rebound this week. It's a tough ask, but after a lifetime of confounding critics, one wonders whether Kevin Sheedy has another rabbit left to pull out of his hat. Welcome, Kevin Sheedy. No hat. Is it time for rabbits and hats?
Oh, I think, well, first of all, it was another loss to Essendon, not Collingwood. But I think probably from the point of view of Anzac Day, we just haven't been able to win one. We've come a draw. And I suppose we improved our loss this year from minus sort of 29 points down to minus 18 or something. But it's been a little bit disappointing, there's no doubt about that. And, you know, probably because it was a good idea. It is a good idea. And we'd love to win one, that's all. And we got our opportunities here on the weekend. We had a pretty good chance to win it. We're probably a kick down, 10 minutes to go, which wasn't too bad.
Well, you said 4 weeks ago, or 5 weeks ago after the first game, Essendon had been overrated. That's probably not a problem now, is it?
No, I said that because I think you're underrating Richmond's performance. And Richmond got out and beat West Coast on the weekend, or Friday night, so I really don't think you should take away anything from the opposition.
No, but what I'm getting at is what we've seen over the first 5 weeks, is that where Essendon's at? Is Essendon now a mediocre side?
I don't think we're a mediocre side. We're probably a side that, at the present time, as far as I'm concerned, we're looking at what group of 6 players may come into that side to make it a better side in that last 11 matches, and we've done that in the past. We've achieved pretty good success. Just looking at positions on the ladder.
Very fired up, just interrupting Kev before the game. Was this a special sort of build-up for you and the team?
Oh, I think Collingwood had got away to a 7-goal to naught first quarter against Richmond. That's basically held that 7-goal for the previous week. Probably in our situation, we're just coming off 2 6-day rests, you know, that's pretty awkward. We've just been tilted in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes with a couple of goals. And yeah, just watching Sydney on the weekend come back from West Coast, and whilst they're ahead of Western Bulldogs most of the day, the Western Bulldogs still got 8 goals in the last quarter.
Teams have to cope with 5 days sometimes. Now, is the 6-day thing a legitimate sort of...
They normally lose. I think you've got to watch that, that's all. If you have too many of them in a row, you've got to watch your players, you've got to watch their injuries that they possibly might get through on a 9-day rest, but they probably might not get through on a 6 or 7-day rest. And probably what happened to Mitchell White happened to James Hird when he done his hamstring. Haven't played a lot of football for quite some time, 12 months out of football. Come in, play your first game or two, and hamstring goes. So it's, you know, you've got to be very careful. People don't realise when you miss a fair bit of footy that you can do your hamstring not playing at AFL level, not bad practice match level, but AFL level, a big difference.
No doubt about that, and probably 9 days, 10 days would be the ideal preparation. But you mentioned just a second ago, 6 players you'd like to see where you could bring those 6 players into the team. Notwithstanding that James Hird is out, and I think perhaps you just about your most vital person in the cog, Sean Denham, was out. Could you afford to lose another 2, 3 players that were in the side on Saturday and still be competitive, still take it up to teams, the heavyweights, and expect to beat the lesser teams?
Well, it's very hard to determine who's the heavyweight at the present time.
Well, let's say that the teams
are the best side at the present time because
Sydney
unbeaten.
Bulldogs.
If you look at last year, and we're talking about this before, Adelaide this time, round 5, 13th they were.
Yep.
Brisbane 12th, Geelong 7th, North Melbourne 11th, and St Kilda 15th, and Sydney 14th. So in round 5, I think what happens basically in most years is you're generally trying to work out what are really the best 4 or 5 guys you think you're going to go somewhere. It's too late to put them in the last 5 matches of the season unless it's a one-off.
Do you think the first 5 matches, I've got a little bit of a theory that you can look back on your first 4 games, say round 10, and you say to yourself, when you're playing at a certain understanding with each other in round 10, you look back at those first 4 games and you say, did we really play like that?
Yeah. I've seen, well, we, back in this round 1993 when we won a premiership, I think we're about 11th or 12th.
After 7 rounds, yeah.
After about 5 rounds.
At what stage in the season then, Sheeds, do you look at the ladder and say, yeah, I'm pretty happy with where we're at?
Well, hopefully, we're 3-2, 2-3, 2 wins. If we can get to round 11, you've got 6. I think 6-5's not too bad, probably. Then we've got probably Essendon. We've probably got about 9 games at the MCG, so I'd rather have a look now than get near the end of the year and wonder, you know. And I think that from that point of view, I'm very pleased with some of the young blokes we put in the side. I think Blumfield and Bomford and...
Been good, Blumfield, hasn't he?
Yeah, been pretty good. I think young Solomon coming on the weekend, I thought they were pretty good. I mean, I think that we're going down the right track. If Somerville is added tonight, well, then we'll probably put Eastor in. I think we put Banks in. I think Banks actually, he had no goals kicked on him up until 2 minutes before half-time, Banks. So it's just unfortunate he got injured in that 3rd quarter.
You're serious when you suggested you pick somebody to please the folk of Broken Hill?
Oh, no, that's just a promotion for footy.
What about Banks? I mean, Banks... Wasn't Banks
you said it.
Yeah, yes, but I mean, I said, look, if I say that comment like that, that's a throwaway line to say, well, we'll keep the people...
This is your ambassadorial role rather than the coaching.
Yes, you've got to put that sort of hat on. I mean, and even when you're talking about young people, I mean, whilst you've got some guys out, that means you can still let your members know that that you can actually get your 25 to 30,000 members and keep your club alive, because we're all going to be in trouble in year 2010 if we don't smarten up in this state.
Just on that same theme, Tim, was Banks selected to play on Rocker on the basis of last year's Anzac Day game?
Well, no, not necessarily. His form in the reserves was, I think it was Bomber Thompson had about 4th or 5th best player.
He was all right last week. He kicked a few goals.
Yeah, he went down
the other end as well.
Down to full forward, I think the 4th quarter. But Rocker is such a powerful person. He's, you know, just his bulk and his strength. And we don't have many players in the club that actually can handle that. And the players that we've tried in the past had actually failed. And so why not try the next person? Otherwise, what do you got him on the list for?
Is Dustin Fletcher injured? Or
No, he's not
just out
injured.
of form?
No, well, I think, look, it gets back to that sort of position where sometimes you're down at full back for the first 100 games of your life. And from 17 years of age, there's rotten football coaches put you there to play on Tony Lockett one week, and then the next week you're on Roger Merritt, and the next week you're on Modger and Ablett and Dunstall. I mean, sometimes if you ever speak to Barry Richardson and a few of the boys, Dench and Southby, they would like to sneak down and have a break in the forward line for a while. Probably
freshen him up a bit.
I think so. He's 21 going 22, 100 games. Yeah, I think that probably it's not that bad.
Just looking at a few stats, we talked about some of the stars who have been out, and it's interesting to have a look at how you've performed without you. If we call Hurd, Mercury, Long and Alessio your big four, since the 93 grand final, you've played 98 games and won 53% of them. But with the big four, you've won 68. And just with Michael Long, you've won 69%. And in 2 of the losses, just 9 losses when Long's been there, he's been off injured early. It would suggest that he is very important.
Oh yes, there's no doubt about that. We used to have a, you know, like I think when you look at that, I mean, you know, you don't harp on that. I mean, get on with the next 5, 6 kids, and if they come back, well, good luck to them. You know, it'd be fantastic to stay. Well, gee, you can't put them on the wing because Blomfield's playing well and Bomford's really killing them. And gee, if you keep Heffernan in or Solomon in, and those 7 kids are really playing sensational football. And if you bring groups of kids through together at the same age about, like you guys come through at Hawthorn and a batch of you come through under Northey at Melbourne and that sort of thing, then you've got a nucleus of another group. And I think that's the important issue that I want to look at the present time. At the present time, I think that if we get these boys in, get them between 10 to 40 games, Lloyd and Lucas are only 40-game players, but they're pretty good players. And then you've got a Hurd or a Mercury or a Long or a Alessio coming back. Well, gee, you could end up with a good side from round 11 onwards.
And what about change of off-field personnel? David Whedon, who we'll see in a moment, talking with the Collingwood forwards during a break on Saturday. How significant would his placement in the Collingwood coaches box have been?
Oh, I think, look, David's a good coach. He's a very good skills coach. He's a good thinker about football. He's been around the footy scene for probably 20 years. Probably if you look at ours, well, we improved our loss by 2 goals. So we improved from last year to this year. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but David's an excellent coach. And I think, look, we've got two good coaches that come along called Mark Harvey and Mark Thompson. And they're very good coaches.
Yeah, there was a strong impression that people left because they could no longer work with you. Was that correct?
Look, that could be pointed at myself, but that's been happening for 15, 16, 17 years. And probably in the end, some of them have wanted to go on to take senior jobs and have done so. I think Neil Danaher's doing quite well, and I think Dennis Pagan is doing quite well. I think that Mark Williams has gone to Port Adelaide, so I think most of those people have gone on to pretty good jobs. I think that what we've needed at Essendon is probably every 4 or 5 years just a new group of people looking at new, fresh ideas, and I think that that's what really has kept our club alive.
There's certainly a new, fresh group there now helping you, and they're fairly inexperienced. I think most people would probably see at face value that you'd have by far the majority of input into the decision making. Is that the case?
No, most of it I would assume. At least now I do, which is good.
I mean, what I'm getting at is, can they express their views without, you know, fear of having their heads bitten off?
I would think that Mark Harvey wouldn't worry about that at all. And I think that Mark Thompson's an Essendon champion who would never worry about that at all. And I think Robert Kerr is going to be a terrific coach, and I wouldn't be surprised if he follows down the road of many of the previous coaches and have a long career in football, Robert Kerr. I think he's a brilliant young person.
It is looking as a critical year, though, in your 18 years now at Essendon, and the critics aren't far away and will be even closer if the team loses a few more games.
Well, look, Tim, the critics are always there. The history says that we've been to 5 grand finals. We've won 3 of them. Most clubs haven't been to 5, haven't won 3. If we bring up a new crew of young people together at Essendon, I've got no doubt that we'll be there with a real chance in the next year or two, possibly by the end of this year. And history will tell you that generally has happened. And I think that the people, what unfortunately doesn't happen, people don't learn enough from history. And I prefer to bring a group of young players through together that might have a chance of winning one, instead of some clubs that actually pick teams to win matches during a year and go nowhere. And some of those clubs over the years have gone nowhere and won none. That is a shame.
But at what point do you say an era ends here and another one starts? I mean, I know you said the other week 93's over and that's history, and that's fine and well, but it was a particularly young group of players who probably most of whom now should be at the peak of their careers. At what point did you decide that group was...
Once again, that's only 6 players. I mean, all the others have gone.
That's a third of a side.
Yeah, but when you look at Wanganeen left, I mean, he's a pretty decent player to lose. Tim Watson was always going to retire. Paul Salmon was always going to leave eventually. When you look at the group of players that we're bringing through at the present time, if we are 6-5 possibly at the halfway mark, with some good recruits coming back, I think we're a pretty good side again.
Just on Salmon, he's won 2 best and fairest at Hawthorn. I think most people would look at him and say he's one of the best couple of ruckmen in the league. Peter Somerville was patently struggling and has for a couple of years. Was that the wrong decision? I know you got Wellman and Barnard out of it, but Essendon is struggling terribly in the ruck.
Well, I mean, when a player gets booed off by his own supporters, that just about tears the heart out of a player. So really, in the end, I don't believe Paul Salmon was ever going to play for Essendon after that.
Really?
As a matter of fact, he was at my place the next day saying, when can I go?
What if he'd played in the ruck?
I think it was more about how he felt hurt about what happened, more than anything.
So the supporters got it wrong, basically.
Well, I think at the end, I mean, probably 50-50. I think 50% of Essendon supporters would have loved Salmon, and I think 50% of supporters probably felt in the end that try someone else.
Just on the matter of your critics, Robert Walls joined them on the weekend. You
I heard him on 3AW.
Talked about injuries being a problem, a reason for Saturday. We'll just have a listen to what Robert Walls said on 3AW.
I just get disappointed to hear coaches fall back on injuries as being a reason why they lose games. Gee, look, I coached for a long time, and look, you have your cycles. You have a good run, you have a bad run, but when you have a bad run with injuries, I just don't like coaches bringing that up all the time. I think you've got to work with what you've got, and if you get over the line with them, terrific. If you don't, well, you've got to say, hey, we weren't good enough on the day. And yesterday, Essendon had 9 goals on the board at half-time and could only get 3 in the second half. And they were outplayed, and I think they were out-coached by Tony Shaw. And, you know, Collingwood, they had their captain out, they had Burns out, they had players missing too. But
Williams?
Well, you've just got to say, hey, you know, these are the 20 players or 22 players that we've got to work with, and talk about them.
Yeah, well, I think Robert probably didn't hear the whole interview, and I think that in fairness to him, but he would have to know that if you heard the whole interview, then I would have said exactly what I've just told you people about playing the young players. And I think that's an important issue. And I think also the way tradesmen see different things as compared to school teachers, we see them totally different.
You're not a big rap for school teachers, aren't you?
I think some of them are fantastic. I think the other half are hopeless.
Where does Wolsey fit in?
He's pretty good. Just didn't hear the whole interview.
OK, let's just talk about some aspects of the game on Anzac Day. One controversial umpiring decision, and I think Shane McInerney would feel a little embarrassed when he had a look at this one, as Andrew Jukovic was barely touched by Watson. We'll see a replay of it.
Yeah.
Holding the ball.
What's the definition there, though?
How could
umpiring
it has to be retarded, I think.
How could you even begin to give that decision? I mean, you have to tackle the guy.
There's no retardation whatsoever, was there?
Absolutely outrageous.
Kevin, do you want to get yourself fined and comment on that one?
Oh, no, I'd just love to hear Peter Schwab's comment.
Yeah, true.
That's all. I mean, you
I think he'd say it was just a mistake.
Yeah, well, we all make
momentary aberration.
Mm.
Yeah.
If he was there with...
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm not allowed to even say that. I think, look, it's a great game we got, you know, and we'll sit on the fence and hang ourselves.
Oh, slap, Sheeds. If he had to grab that jumper for a split second, was it then a free kick then? Like a split second?
Touch and go. If he actually gets to close
they're
the
red
hand,
hot
I think
on the
it
bloke who has the bounce. I mean, they're absolutely
I think the
red
hand
hot
just
on
went
that.
like that,
I
really.
agree with you.
I don't reckon it ever closed on the jumper at any stage.
I mean, you want the game to
Here
get
you go.
past. You want to ask players to take risks.
It's never closed.
Agree with you.
Create the play. Create the play on.
You should encourage it.
Yeah, I would tend to think. I mean,
the guy has to be retarded by the tackle, surely. I mean,
he wouldn't have even felt the touch, I don't reckon.
Oh, yes, he would. He's pretty lean.
Do you reckon Collingwood have had a decent rub of the umpiring in the Anzac Day games in the last few years?
So you're saying?
Just tell us about Shea Cockatoo Collins, Sheeds, because we're going to just see that magnificent goal. And, I mean, he is mercurial, but he's enigmatic, isn't he? Because there are times when he just seems to drift right out of games and drift out of games for months.
Yeah.
Or weeks anyway.
No, months would be right.
Oh, look, I think that there's still a lot of improvement left in Shea. I think that...
should he have achieved it by now?
Well, I mean, you could see players. You look at players today that they're finally starting to peak now, you know, at 25, 26, 27. I mean, he's probably 23, played 70 games. He probably should have been more consistent. There's no doubt about that.
Well, what's he like to coach, Sheeds? Is he a headstrong guy who's hard to coach? Or
Excellent young man.
Very coachable?
Yeah. We had him at Xavier College, just talked to 500 people the other day in a chapel. And truly, I mean, if you ever talked to any of the parents at Xavier, it was probably one of the most moving speeches I've ever heard. And I sat there as just the coach to go along and have a listen to him, and he was just magnificent.
Well, what about his footy? I mean,
well, I think that rubs off. You know, I mean, a lot of people, when you're judging people on football, they've got to have a fair bit of character.
Are we being harsh if we say he's not quite doing justice to his ability at the moment?
I don't think he's played his best football yet, and I think it probably isn't far away.
Does he frustrate you the way he doesn't play the percentages? I mean, it seems like often he'll go out of his way to do the unpredictable thing.
Some of the freaks of the game never play the percentages, really, do they? I mean,
but it's okay if they perform more than once every 6 weeks.
No, yes, but I mean, generally he's got Alessio there, Mercury there, Hurd there. You try and get it off them.
They don't play.
Just on that sheet, you just had admitted before, Salmon came to you the day after he got booed off when he was playing for Essendon. Shea Cockatoo Collins, there was big talk late last year that he was very disinterested, very despondent, and in fact wanted to go home westward. Was there any time he came to you and had a talk about his playing future, whether he would still be at the Bombers for season 98?
Yes, we did have a chat. He just wanted to know whether he felt that he was a part of Essendon's future, which we really reassured him. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we just lost, I mean, first of all, we've got players that were coming back that we missed most of the last half of last year. We lost Wanganeen the year before. I mean, how strong do you want to make Port Adelaide? We've already just jumped up and had a look at Fremantle over the last... I mean, the whole deal in the end is, and it even goes back to 1993, since we even won then, you've added 2 more teams to the AFL, so why would you want to keep losing players like Wanganeen or Cockatoo Collins? So I convinced Shea in many ways to stay, put his best foot forward, his best football's ahead of him. 23 years of age, I mean, I come out of the army at 22, going 23, and I play my best footy after that.
With his elusiveness, and as you say, he's only a young man, does he have the wind tank to play in the middle of the ground for a full game?
I think that's an area where he's got to build up to it. I say that because when you look at Hurd or a Mercury or a Lucas or a Lloyd and the players that we can move up the field, Buick, I mean, you've got to be consistently playing in the midfield to get that sort of that wind right into your own breathing system, your apparatus.
Just having a look at Darren Buick here, Sheeds. I mean, he and Long obviously are always going to be a key to the side, but I know Boris played pretty well on Saturday, but he just seems to have lost a couple of yards and just a bit of...
I think he looked for the free here, didn't he?
Would you be annoyed about that? I mean, every young footballer is told you keep playing until you hear the whistle.
I think that is an area where he can improve his game. I think that, look, he's come back, basically had all of last year out. He was off the bench in the last couple of matches. And I would think that even he is one player that's going to play much better in the second half of the year because, like when you say 1 year out, he probably was on the ground for 4 or 5 half games last year just to get his confidence back in his injuries after his operations. And I think probably there was just a frustration because there was 2 opportunities earlier where he thought he probably should have got a free, and that was about the 3rd one. And I think that no, not totally correct, and he'd know that, and we'll mention that. But still, he kicked a couple of great goals for us.
We talked about Cockatoo Collins, and obviously having a spark of brilliance probably explains the need to keep him around the place. You have a particular fondness for hard-working guys who've had to slog to get where they are. Does Essendon now have so many of those blokes around the place that it's not a skilled enough side?
Look, you'll always have those sort of players in and around your makeup of your 42. We probably had a couple of those that we let go in regard to, well, Grenville and Christina, who retired. I mean, Mark Harvey was a bit of a hard slog, wasn't he? Yeah. That's 3. So you can't let them all walk out. I mean, to lose the strength of Danaher, the strength of Grenville and the strength of Harvey, it's a hell of a lot of strength to lose. So you don't want to be walking out, and you're not going to pick up a hell of a lot of strong kids in the draft. They're 17 and 18. And I prefer to just keep working through with 1 or 2 of these boys to see if they've got that next year up their belt where they may deliver the goods. But if they don't, well, I might have to look at letting them go or that sort of thing.
We've talked about Sheedy coach, Sheedy ambassador. What about Sheedy author? Is there enough of you to spread among all of these things?
Oh, look, I've felt that one of the disappointments of my football, when I look back over the years, is that there wasn't enough out there to read as a coach. I think that probably Jeans and Kennedy, I think Hafey all should have done books by now, so I've done a bit of a book 5 and 4 years ago. This year there's one on women in football, because I think that most of the male chauvinistics that are in the AFL and football in general never ever consider thanking women, and probably it's the best growth rate in football, and I think that is where our game has improved, going right back from when I started off going to schools in '74, I think it was, about when I went out to do all those football clinics for the old VFL.
You're pretty PC, are you, Shades? Politically correct?
Well, mate, I'm heterosexual, if that's right. Is that politically correct? Probably not.
Is Max Walker's status as best-selling Australian author under threat?
No, I think the women's book, Women in Football, Forgotten Heroes, will be a great sale.
Or Chopper Reed.
But are you keen on continuing to do this?
I'll probably do another 3 over the next 5 years.
What about coaching?
Mainly do them in the off-season and have a co-author that we plan the book with, and I think that that's important. I think that there'll be definitely one on coaching. I've kept 25 years of my diaries, and that'll be a great book one day. But
no, what I meant was, and I'm not being facetious.
It's unusual for you.
Sorry.
Timmy's best mate, and you're not being facetious.
Yeah, okay.
Tell Timmy Watson you said that.
I'll be watching.
Could this be your last season as coach?
Oh no, I'll coach a fair while yet.
You'll definitely coach Essendon next year?
I haven't made that decision.
Are you in the hot seat? Might it be made for you?
Well, look, in fairness to the club, I mean, that's something they'd have to answer, but technically it's my decision because it's my option.
So what could that possibly happen though, that you decided you wanted to stay on and they decided they didn't want you to stay on and you would stay on?
Well, I mean, I'm the person doing the hard work at the present time, regardless of what anyone thinks. I mean, in regarding pushing through the next 5 to 8 young players, I mean, if you're going to be smart enough to do that, there's going to be a chance at the end of the rainbow that you might get to another top 4 in a grand final. Well, if you do the hard yards, probably the smartest thing would be to walk away from it.
Yeah.
Or secondly, stay and have a chance at another one.
But would you want to be coach of a club that didn't want you to coach them? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know whether the rest of them would be like that. Do you think they would be?
No, I don't know.
Oh, you sweat, son, you sweat.
Better let you go before that seat goes into meltdown that you're sitting in Sheds. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Look, it's great to come on your show.
It's great to have you.
At least you get ratings, don't you?
We saw Darren Buick appealing for a free kick while the ball was in play. Tony Lockett also did it at the SCG. We'll be back with more shortly.
Which is not really a long kick, though he just kicks it beautifully to Lockett. Lockett crunch, play on call, and through for a behind. So Tony I thought got a little push from the back and certainly crunched at the front. Catching up.
Nice Harley.
It's simple and it's right. I want my football every night. Nothing beats it, that's what I say. I want my football every day. I want my football. I want my football hours a day. I want my football.
They were serving time,
I now pronounce you convict and convict.
but a sudden hail of bullets made them run. Locked together in a desperate bid for freedom.
You don't like white people now, is that it? No, I just don't like you.
Lawrence Fishburne,
What are you doing chained to that white boy?
What the hell's the matter with you? Didn't you see Deliverance?
Stephen Baldwin,
We ain't gonna make it. We're gonna have to jump. What do you mean jump? I can't swim.
the cops, the mob.
Let's go, drive.
My house, I'm warning you, it's messy.
They all want them off the streets, but they'll have to catch them first. Strap yourself in for non-stop.
You gotta flip, come on.
Breakneck speed action
This thing is just getting started.
with two of Hollywood's hottest stars.
You guys know each other before you went to jail?
No.
Cellmates?
Oh, shit. No, hell no.
See how they run.
Did I get him?
Bled, coming soon during Movie One's Amazing May.
After 12 successive outs, the Hawks are back in.
We'll be talking Hawks shortly with Nick Holland, who's joined us in the studio, but some bad news for Hawthorn already tonight. Mark Graham suspended for a week and Justin Lepich out of the same incident, also out for 1 week. Let's go back to Brian Waldron for an update from the Tribunal. Brian.
Yes, Tim, and bad news for the Magpies also tonight because Anthony Rocker has been suspended for the next 2 matches for the Magpies. He'll miss the encounter against Carlton this weekend and against Sydney at Fairfield Park the following weekend. Rocker was reported by umpire John Harvey for charging Joe Masiti. Rocker said his intention was to bump Masiti because he saw the ball come free. Harvey said it was unnecessary and violent. As a consequence, Brian Coles has seen fit to suspend Rocker for 2 weeks. So very bad news. I'll return as soon as I can, Tim, with the result of the Peter Somerville case.
Thanks for that, Brian. You've really got to judge it right when you make that charge for the spoil, don't you? Because if you get it wrong, you're basically gone. They're totally unsympathetic.
I think, Gary, you'll back this up. As long as you have some fist or whatever aiming at the ball to actually spoil it. When you tuck it in there and you get them in the small at the back.
We've said it more than once, Dan. You just got to give them an out. Don't we?
Big Tony put one on Smithy a couple of years ago that
yes, indeed.
Very similar to it.
Well, it's been a long time coming, but Hawthorn, after a few near misses, finally saluted on the weekend. Its win over Brisbane was its first this year, its first after 12 losses, and hopefully the first of many more to come. Nick Holland joins us, and you look pretty excited about it, Nick, in those shots we saw a moment ago.
Yeah, after the game, as you said, it's been 12 losses on the trot, and we didn't even win a trial match early, so it was good to get all the emotions out, and hopefully I can keep doing it from week to week now on.
Good feeling though, I mean, there's no secret, Gaz, that I go down there on a Tuesday night with the boys, but Dipper, for the first time since he played his last game, I think it was 91 or 92, Robert Dipier-Domenico retired, hasn't been back to the club, and the big fella strode out on the ground and preened the handlebars on the way out. really good atmosphere. There are a lot of blokes, and the first time I've seen at the club, ex-players are really coming back and having a kick around with the blokes at training.
Yeah, Dermot, it's actually been fantastic in getting the big dip out there, and story we should probably tell is that Dermy actually still fits into his Guernsey, and we tried to give Dipper his Guernsey, and none were going to fit. So.
He's a big unit, isn't he? But it's good value. I mean, straight out on the ground on Tuesday night, and Ken Judge went to welcome him in front of 42 players, and Dipper's basically put the hand across the chest of Ken and said, "Let me tell you blokes how it's done." He's gone into his own tirade of abuse.
I thought you were going to say he did a ground report there for a minute there.
He may as well.
Or interviewed the coach.
He did everything else.
I just wanted to ask Nick, now, you were excited, mate, there's no doubt about that, and I know where you're coming from, having endured a pretty lean couple of years, but has it been a big burden? Have you felt like it's got the club down a bit over the past 4 or 5 weeks, or have you known that a win's just been around the corner?
Yeah, oh no, it has got the club down. It's like they say, the monkey on the back, and finally we've got rid of it. And being such a young side and not knowing how to win, I think finally that now that we've had a win, I think we can go from there, take it from there, they can build from the confidence. And
Judgy a bit cranked up at 3/4 time when it looked as though you might just let another one slip away, Nick?
Well, Judgy actually came in after Jason Dunstall gave us a serve, and I think that picked up the players as well, and then Judgy sort of reinforced that. Our third quarters have been a problem, and we tried to address it in this game. Like I said, luckily we...
Incriminating sort of statistic, isn't it?
It's bad luck. Footy's not played over just a half.
They're going too long, the games these days, aren't they?
Top of the ladder, yeah. We actually, Peter German's had a lot to do. He's trying to address our second half fade-outs, but I think a younger side, when we get such a lead, we probably relax a bit and think, oh, you know, we've got the lead, now it's time we might... we've got a bit of a buffer, and so they tend to leave it to too few, the Salmons and the Dunstalls. So now that we've won, hopefully everyone can, you know, get together and sort of push towards, you know, getting the third quarter and the fourth quarter and really finishing off the game.
I think there's a bit in that, and I view Hawthorn. You know, Gary, to win a game of footy, you have to basically be scoring. There is no time in modern day football, Nick, you'd be probably in agreement, where you can say, there's a lead, let's play safe footy. If you play safe footy, it's just a matter of how long it takes for the opposition to catch up. So Hawthorn got to that stage, and I think a young, inexperienced team would say, 30 points ahead, let's play safe footy. And they don't take the risks to run out of the back line like they were in the first half, and they try and play that so-called safe footy, and they're just getting overrun, and a trend creeps in, and it's irreversible.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, especially in the Richmond game. I think we sort of consciously went about trying to save the game rather than to win the game. What you've got to do, you've got to be an offensive side, got to kick the winning score, and you know, that's what we did on the weekend with 18 goals.
Interesting to hear you say Jason Dunstall gave the players a rev. It would have had an impact on you more than many, judging from the way you spoke about him after the game. We'll just have a look at that, and then we'll hear what he might have had to say to you at 3/4 time.
He's a true champion, isn't he? He's sort of there when you need him. Comes back from 2 knee reconstructions, 7 last week, 6 again today. A match-winning performance again today. He is sort of our best player, and I actually can say this is genuine sincerity here. I want to be like him.
What more, wouldn't you?
It's a tremendous no higher praise.
Yeah, well, I think I've got to probably pump him up now, because in about 10 years' time, when I've got my kids, I'm going to say he's, you know, the greatest full forward of all time, and the kids will look at him and take one good look at him and see his size, and they'll probably start laughing and think, no, it couldn't be him, Dad. So give him all he can now.
Peter Knight's told me that Dunstall had said to him that he'd never done this before, that he just flew into the players at 3/4 time, gave you all a bit of a serve.
Well, yeah, it's unusual from a man who shows virtually no emotion out on the ground. When he came in and actually G'd us up, revved us up for the last quarter, it got us all going, and we went out and we kicked, I think, 6 goals in the last quarter and had a, you know, match-winning quarter. So it was good coming from him, because he rarely does it, and so you stand up and listen.
Did it ever get to the stage where you guys need to go to him and say, listen, we need you to play a game this year? Did it get to that stage at all?
I think there was actually probably a worry how he was going to go with 2 knee reconstructions. His age was sort of against him, and to his credit, he's come out, he's kicked 7, 6 and 4, and you know, he's been the match winner on this occasion, and last week almost won the match for us against St Kilda as well. So, you know, it's almost like having a new recruit.
That little Richard Taylor's having a blinder, even though Hawthorn have only won one. He has been in sensational form, putting it down Jason's throat there.
Yeah, he's taken the next step up, Tails. He's so important for us in the middle, and he sort of starts in the middle and stays in the middle all the time now. He's sort of been working on his skills, which has been good, but you know, he's important to the sort of engine room of Hawthorn.
The Lions have almost joined you in the drought department. 293 days for the Hawks, and Brisbane haven't won for 268.
It's amazing what stats you blokes can come up with, isn't it?
I just look at them and marvel myself, mate, not even on the show.
We've got Geelong this week, and you'll feel pretty good about going down there. I think Hawthorn have done well at Cardinia Park, and you had a terrific win there last year.
Yeah, well, it started, as you say, you said, with Peter Knights. Took us down there with Dunstall and some of the bigger name players out one year, and we actually had a win by 5 points, and since then we've played them on 2 more occasions and beaten them by narrow margins as well. So, you know, there's no hoodoos for us going down to Cardinia Park, and we'll be looking forward to it. They'll be pumped up as well. They sort of got a 200th game for Stoneham, and so, you know, we've got a fighter. I think I've heard that Gary Ablett might be going around the ground as well, so, you know, we could have it be up against the wall in the first quarter, but hopefully we'll take it up to them and have another win.
How have you found it down back, Nick? Because obviously, you know, if Jason's standing up at full forward, you're running around at centre-half forward. Crummel's a pretty good second-string centre-half forward to you. They've got a little bit of strike power there, you know, enough to kick 20 goals. But really the problem has been down back, holding a team with a gun.
Yeah, we've probably had a good aggressive forward line that's been holding the ball in, tackling and scoring the winning margins, and down back we've probably been giving it away a bit. But the Johnny Hayes and the Trent Crodes, they've stepped up. So I think as they come in, the younger guys again, as they settle down, I think they'll mature to football, and you know, we'll have the basis of a good backline as well, and we'll sort of develop and improve from there.
I think they're about 30 games off being a really tight unit, that backline. Jonathan Hayes really impressed this
Norwich
season.
Rising Star nominee this week.
He is too. He's a gun player.
He's a very good number as well. Now, just before we let you go,
23.
Nick, what number is he?
23.
23, isn't he?
That's
26 he was, but now he's number 3.
He's number 3 now.
Thank you very much. Now, before we go, what you got to tell me, Nick? Is it like to have the great man back at the club? Now, does he get out and preen his stuff? Does he get the green boots on, whack the lycra shorts on, and get out and show you how to play centre-half forward? Because every week he's in here giving me a lesson, and I walk out of here a more learned man. Absolutely no question.
Well, Dermy actually, he comes out to the club and he puts on the specky bag, and all the boys rub their hands, say, yes, Dermy's out again, and we use him as a bit of a punching bag. And he was rubbing his head there before because I stuck the knee straight into it last week, and I don't know how your headache was Tuesday night, but
I'm almost prepared
you definitely helped me.
A year at Hawthorn so I can jump into the specky
Mate, I've got a bag, and it is that wide, and it goes past the shoulders. It starts at the back of the head, goes below my bum. Nick has kneed me in the side of the head. He's missed the bag, and somehow, you try and do this with that bag over my back, he's kneed me in the middle of the spine and missed the bag. He just fixes up everybody with his knees, this bloke.
I don't think one person's actually hit the bag since Dermy's been wearing it.
The boys are good.
Well, Nick, Judgy no doubt's been serving a bit up as we thank you for coming in and end this segment. You can have a look at the man who taught Judgy all he knows in his year at Carlton, David Parkin, who got a bit of hot under the collar out at Waverley yesterday. Thanks for being with us.
It's a pleasure to come in and be with all the people here. Fantastic.
Cheeky bugger.
David Parkin.
Yeah.
I don't think he's very happy.
Would you just run out there and tell that chap that he should take that mark?
You remember that,
What he's saying? Oh, yeah.
Don't know the reason why you love me this way.
Don't know the reason why you're there every day.
But I know when I hold you near, you are the reason I am here.
Every Friday night is Netball Night on Sports Australia. Catch Australia's best in 8 new-look teams shooting for the Commonwealth Bank Trophy. The action is hot with sensational live netball every Friday night on Sports Australia Channel 12, your netball network. May 98, and this is ESPN Channel 11. Soccer. Dutch football live and exclusive. Highlights of the prestigious UEFA Champions League in a pay TV exclusive. And live and exclusive action from the English Premier League. NBA. Live playoff games, live conference finals, and live and exclusive coverage of the best of 7 game final series. Tennis. ATP World Tour live and exclusive with the Mercedes Super 9 Series. Golf. Senior PGA Tour with live and exclusive coverage of Bruno's Memorial Classic and the Home Depot Invitational. NHL. Live and exclusive action from the best ice hockey league in the world with the Stanley Cup Final Series. And motorsport. NHRA drag racing and live and exclusive PPG kart. Nobody plays sport like ESPN. Nobody. The battle for Stanley Cup glory continues with live and exclusive games every week on ESPN.
Not many this week, but what we've got is pretty good. How about the cocky here? Shea Cockatoo Collins. A great way to start us off. Follows up his own handball. And Monkey poses little problem at the end.
Goal! That is sensational play. Shea Cockatoo Collins.
Thank you very much. Here's the orange roughie. Big screamer over the back of McKay. Luke McKay.
Good catch, that one.
Sensational grab.
And they've been calling Andrew Wills the flying egg. Well, he was sizzling away on the pan the other night. Have a look at that.
Wasn't that a great shot?
Yeah. That might be his love child. Have a look. Neesham in the box. Same shaped head.
What about Mark Miranda's grab against the Eagles? A spectacular vertical leap. As written. That is a very good one.
Oh, knee in the face as well. He got the full reward there. Little Aussie's got a few tricks up his sleeve. Runs past here to the outside. Buried it. And the Blues.
Yes, and Mrs. Connolly wouldn't have seen Rams excited about this Brett Montgomery mark. You're pretty happy with that, Rams?
Oh, fair grab.
Maybe
grab. And here's a candidate for goal of the year, Shane Woden. He finishes things off this week. Take another bounce, son.
About here, Derm, I was on my own. Then I thought, I'll come in and share, but did you see me coming in?
Fifth bounce there. And I bet you've called, why didn't you give it?
Very well done.
Great snag, though.
That's really a great goal. We've seen the 2 marks of the year and the goal of the year in
one go.
One hit.
Good. That is goal.
Which was the better mark? I mean, they were just both rippers, weren't
Well, I
they?
like Miranda's. That's a very unusual mark.
With the flight of the ball.
And to get up that high.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the carry on the chest, but vertically. And
the hang time, though, for Montgomery, I mean, that was around, he was up there for a while.
No, the hang, I can tell you, the hang time was sensational. It was,
I think that's what's spectacular. There's no doubt courage running back in the same direction as it. But the hang time...
The one tragedy of that mark was that it happened at the SCG, so apart from the little cluster of doggy supporters, all it got was polite applause, but there were a couple of Victorian journos in the press box who went spacco, I can tell you that.
Tremendous stuff. I think this might have something to do with why we love the game so much. Now, a dilemma for a couple of our, ex-playing and playing panellists here. What would you do if your wife went into labour on the morning of the game and looked as though she was going to give birth somewhere between 2 and 5 o'clock? That was Stephen Zilla's dilemma. Norm Goss from the St Kilda coaching panel told us all about the drama of Sunday morning.
No, Stephen Zilla's out of the side.
Gee, that's a blow?
Yeah, no, it's his wife's having a baby, so he's in the delivery room at the moment. So
humanitarian courses, that's fantastic.
Humanitarian courses, yeah, no, so that's unfortunate.
Tragic.
Oh, great for Stephen Zilla.
Absolutely.
Tough one.
Normie's not known for his his kindly touch, but look, it is a tough call. I could only relate it to myself, Gary. I've got the one child, and in hindsight, one of the most amazing things the most amazing thing I've witnessed. But made the stipulation, if you go into labour on match day, admittedly it was my last year, I said I've probably only got about a dozen games left in my career I'll be playing footy.
Well, that's an amazing revelation, Dermot. You'd play over the birth of your first child.
Yeah, having seen it, I don't think I'd play over the birth of my second child if one comes along. But I will say, professional attitude, I thought that was the correct decision.
Yeah, I would have said that as well, but...
You wouldn't have meant it.
I would much rather face 21 angry footy mates rather than one wife in labour not being bedside, I can tell you right now. Well, I've had 3 now, so the 4th, mate, I might go and play them.
What if it came along on about the 27th of September and the Demons just happened to be there?
No question then, Tim.
It's called birth control, Tim.
Yes, no, it's planning. Comes down to planning. Of course it is.
Well, let's hear from the man himself, the new father, Stephen Ziller, about that Sunday morning drama.
Got a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning and told that the girl was in labour. So I sort of had to rush to hospital then. I grabbed all my footy gear and took it in, and as yet the baby hadn't arrived, and it got to about 11 o'clock and it was sort of getting pretty close to me leaving, and she was about a half an hour to an hour to go to have the baby. So I sort of got in contact with Normie Goss at the club and had a bit of a chat to him, and he sort of thought it was best that I didn't sort of come in with the condition. I suppose I hadn't prepared myself well for the game, and I was sort of a bit off switch, and I thought it'd probably be best that I sort of give the game a miss. It's a real tough choice. I mean, I really wanted to play footy, but at the same token, I sort of wanted to be there for the birth. It's just pretty hard when it sort of come within the 4 hours that you probably don't want it to come on a week, and it sort of dropped in that time. But yeah, it was a very hard decision to make, but I think I made the right one in the end.
Stephen Ziller, father of James Stephen, who tipped the scales at £5, and congratulations to Stephen and wife, and welcome into the world of football and lots of other things to James Stephen.
Yeah, £5.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. Very, very happy for him.
That's a good story.
Such a sincere bloke.
I am. No, that's the greatest thing that happened to that fella to this stage of his life.
Another good news story, a new segment in the program, Golden Goalies, and here is one of the pieces of goal umpiring of the year. We'll take it commentary and all because this is great stuff.
I think I mentioned last week about his reliability at kicking goals. Now the field umpire, he's a very consistent goal kicker. Kicked 7-1, I think, for the year, Robbo. He's hardly missed. I think we're going to get a goal here, Robbo. Watch this one. Thank you.
That was absolutely superb. We're very hard markers at the Connolly Goal Umpiring Academy, but I had to give that a 10.
There's no such thing as a perfect goal umpiring performance, but that is very close.
I hope I've got this the right way around. 10.1 out of 10.
Doesn't get much better than that. That is as good as it gets.
Oh, hang on. Should we be putting them up in front of our noses like that so we can still see the play?
Actually, they used to have cigarette advertisements on them, didn't they? They're not allowed to anymore.
He's a shocker, that.
A couple of near misses here. Chris Lewis on Friday night. How agonising. Open goal in front of him.
The most frustrating thing in footy is they're that hard to come by. When you see one like that and you mark it, you are filthy for the next 10 minutes.
He can't take a trick, can he, at the moment?
No, he's down a bit, Louis. He certainly is. And that's reminiscent of Jeff Farmer.
I remember that, and you actually put your hands, said just settle down. He got the kick again, didn't he?
The fact that I had my back to him was worried about the goal square had a bit to do with it, but he did get another shot at it.
Classic Tony Jewell, memories of 1987.
Just a bit of advice for young Ben Holland, I think. Yeah, full forward, 15 metres out. Please.
I think the golden advice, Gary, is if you can kick them with a certainty, kick them. And if you're in the goal square, like Dunstall when he marked that one, if you are going to mark it and anybody from the opposition is around you, don't shepherd. If you can get away with it, if you mark it, kick the goal yourself.
You mentioned Tony Jewell tearing his hair out in 1987. Do you know how much whiter his hair is in 1998? I might say a lot about spending time in the coaching box.
We mentioned Chris Lewis a moment ago, and things not really going for him at the moment. They're not going for the champion Peter Matera either, and it just bubbled over on Friday night.
Yeah, that was a bit needless, a bit of frustration there, and even though the...
What's he shaking his head about?
Young Bauer took the dive, but he knew it was coming, so yeah, he took the dive.
It just happens, though, doesn't it? I mean, that's like in any job, you just do your nana every now and then, and He didn't have a great night. He wasn't the worst player on the West Coast. I watched the game by a long stretch.
He does do that a bit though. Like when he has a bad one, he can sort of really drop his head sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't know if he drops his head. It just keeps getting worse for him. I don't know if he actually loses desire. I don't think he drops his head as in, I don't want to be out here. He just gets to him, he gets frustrated, he makes bigger mistakes.
I think he sets a pretty high standard too. I don't know if you watched the game, but he did some really good things. But and I think Mick gave him a serve from last week as well, so that's probably playing on his mind, but he's all right.
You know that
next year.
rude story that people tell about how a question is asked by people in the crowd before the goal umpire gives it that one?
Yes.
Well, apparently the same question was asked of umpire John Harvey at the MCG on Saturday.
To take him on through the centre square, kicks a long bomb. High fly rock has been interfered with, surely. And he's got the free. No doubt about that free kick, Peter McKenna. No doubt about it. And,
Ace Harvey.
May means sporting mayhem on the Channel of Champions, Sports Australia. Soccer and the English Premier League is coming to an end with Man U and the Gunners fighting for the crown. Basketball. It's the Women's World Championships and our girls are a shot at the title. Cheer on our opals with exclusive breakfast coverage. NRL. Exclusively live games brought to you by Sports Australia's expert commentary team.
Beautiful stuff!
Plus every game replayed at a time to suit you. Netball. The Commonwealth Bank Trophy continues. Australia's best battle it out for club glory. Swimming. The Telstra Commonwealth Games trials continue. Rugby. Campese, Rugby's My Life. An exclusive look at one of Australia's greatest ever players. All this and more mayhem on Sports Australia.
Sky News, bringing you more news more often.
Mine are listening badly as events break.
From the heart of Europe to the back of Bourke, Sky will be there.
24 hours a day.
7 days a week. It's your news. Where, when,
And how you want it.
Sky News.
A global network
With an Australian focus.
dedicated to keeping you informed.
It's news when you choose.
Channel 22.
traffic, couple of bounces, fancies himself, oh lovely ball, still Woden, still Woden, Woden from half pole, kick it down,
I saw one of our teammates to my right, so I thought I'll pop the handball, but instead I've balled him instead, and totally fooled the opposition. And so I've got around him. So I take about my third bounce, and fourth as well. So and by this time I thought, well, you know, the goal's not far, so I might maybe I'll keep this. And come to the next opponent, and he's actually sussed me out, and he didn't quite fall for the ball, and but just happy, and probably really lucky enough to get around him. And you know, I showed a little bit of pace, which I don't really have a lot of, and fortunate enough took one more bounce, just steadied, and by this time the legs were pretty much a lot of jelly actually, really, and get a bit real tired. But you know, just as long as I had to steady and slot it through. So it's just a fantastic feeling once I kicked it.
Yes, a very modest and unassuming summary of what was obviously a very special moment.
He didn't want to talk about it, really,
No, I
did
reckon he might have played it over and over a few times in his mind, but he's a great bloke, in all honesty. He's a fantastic young kid, and he'd be a very good player for a long time.
What's your memory of the goal?
Not bad now, having seen it. At the time, I was a little bit vague.
I'm tipping you ran out to him and said, "Don't you ever ignore me on the lead again. I've lost my man."
Well, you would have been waiting from the dressing room.
Here's the point of the year if we've seen the goal of the year. Matthew Knight's almost repeating those couple of fantastic goals he kicked in that semi against Essendon a couple of years back.
He bounced probably, I reckon, two times more than he needed to on that occasion. He does bounce.
He does, doesn't he?
Every 6 or 7 metres.
The only thing I can work out with blokes who are very footy smart like that, who do bounce it a lot, is that there may come a time of need in any second where somebody confronts them and they need to tuck it under for 15, whereas if you run your 10 and within about 2 or 3 metres you need to bounce, then that bloke confronts you, you're under real pressure. So I think they might be just keeping it up their sleeve. Other than that, they probably just think they're looking good by having 15 bounces in 28.
Tribunal update time. Bad news all around thus far, with Mark Graham and Justin Leppich getting a week each. Anthony Rocker is out for 2. And Brian Waldron, I think you've got news on Peter Somerville.
Yes, Tim, and it doesn't get any better, unfortunately. It's a bad night for the Bombers, because Peter Somerville, despite pleading guilty to striking Damien Monkhurst, has been suspended for the next 3 matches. Brian Collis said that the player had a poor record, and because it was a strike to the head, he had no choice but to suspend him for 3 matches. Somerville described it like 2 Jurassics going at each other, and it was a humorous tribunal meeting, but unfortunately not very humorous at the end of the night. So it's bad news all round. 3 weeks for Peter Somerville, Tim.
Thanks for that, Brian. A busy night for Brian Waldron down there, and not a good one for all those who faced Brian Collis and co. Mark Graham and Justin Leppich, 1 each. Anthony Rocker out for 2, so he'll miss the big match against Carlton, and Peter Somerville is out for 3.
Bit of maturity shown by Monkey then, I reckon. He could have retaliated, and it was pretty willing early, but he just decided verbals was the best way to go. This bloke, young Jeff White, Gary, fantastic on the weekend, they say.
Yeah, he played his best game for us, there's no doubt, and without Jimmy in the side, he took over the key ruck roles and pushed forward on occasions and kicked 4 really valuable goals. Probably should have kicked 6, to be honest, to him. And look, he just becomes a really exciting talent when he can do things like that.
You tried to scunge it off him then.
Well, I'd only been on for a couple
Watch this. You're going to take away his second grab. You were too.
Gary, does he read the paper on Saturday mornings? Because there was an interview in the Herald Sun with Jared Neesham, and in a separate part of it all, this is what Neesham had to say. I've coached for 12 years and never had anyone go out and sit in a car and cry and wish their daddy was there. He seems very immature. That was an incredibly strong reaction. White had been critical of him over the matter of communication, but that's a powerful backlash from a coach.
I would have thought so, and I mean, we take it in isolation there, so it looks really harsh, but I can't remember too many times in my footy career seeing a coach give a player a lash like that, and I think it was in pretty poor taste.
What did he say about it,
Jeff? I didn't talk to him about it, but his reply, I think, again through some of the papers was, well, every dog has their day, and we'll look forward to playing him next time round at the MCG, which I thought was a pretty reasonable statement.
It is a bit ironic, isn't it, given Jared Neesham has talked about the draft system ripping kids away from their home environments and what have you, and you wouldn't have thought that was the most sensitive way to treat a kid who'd been ripped from his home environment, would you?
No, and it suggests that perhaps there's, whilst all that going on, they're pretty low-key. I think the Dockers, must be fuming over the situation there. That's the way I read it.
How do you find Jeff White as a teammate?
Oh, look, the situation with Jeff coming in with the amount of publicity is only one way he could go about it if he was to be as readily accepted as he'd like, and that was to work super hard, and he's surpassed any expectation I've had of him in that area. He's just a genuine, terrific young kid who wants to play footy, and he looks forward to every Saturday. It can't come around quickly enough for him.
Well, both coaches at the MCG yesterday were greatly impressed. Let's hear from Neil Danaher and Jack Cale.
He was very good, Jeff White, today, wasn't he? 4 goals. But I don't want to harp on that. He was fantastic from the very first bounce. He just jumped into him. And if I thought before the game there was an opportunity, I thought that Primus and Lade would take that. But there's no doubt that White lowered both their colours today. The marks he took and the way he played and positioned himself, it was very good.
We'll also hear from Neil Danaher in a moment on Todd Viney leading the Demons this year. And Gary, you might like to talk about the man who has actually replaced you as captain.
Yeah, look, I've had a good opportunity to talk about Todd Viney, obviously this year because of that circumstance, but look, I've been singing his praises for a number of years and probably more so for the last 18 months, and I think he's generally pretty underrated still in footy, and only now is starting to get some of the kudos that he richly deserves. And I think, I don't want to preempt what Neil Danaher's got to say, but I will say that I categorically agree 100% and have been saying it for 12 months. And I'd rate him in the top dozen players in the competition.
Well, in fact, Neil Danaher talks about and gives him his high rating in terms of his hardness, and here's where he puts him.
I think he's the hardest. You know, I know Glenn Archer is touted to be one of the hardest players at the footy, and I put Todd Viney right up there with him, and to have him as our club captain and to show that sort of example, I think inspires the blokes around the ball with him, and that's why our midfield are going so well.
So in the top dozen from the former captain, and in the top 2 when it comes to hard players in the game. Do want to have a chat about young Jess Sinclair, who has roughed up John Worsfold and is making his presence felt for the Dockers.
I love this guy. I mean, this was easily, well, in a platonic sense, this is easily Fremantle's best win on Saturday night. And this guy, to me, every time I've seen them, he's been the real heart and soul of the side. And I think, you know, they've got exciting players, they've got quick players, but I think they've lacked a bit of grit and almost a bit of soul too in a way, and this guy gives it to him, and I think he's really had an inspirational effect on other blokes in the side, and he's been fantastic for him.
Yeah, he's hard at it at the moment, but the boy just doesn't know how to use his body to hurt anyone.
It's only 75 kilos of it.
Yeah, when he starts to work out how to actually position his shoulders to hurt somebody, he's got the desire to do it, he's just not actually making the strike zone.
I heard a great line from him the other day. He was asked how he felt about the groupies over there like him so much, and he said it'd be all right if any of them were older than 12. Never worried you blokes, but...
Please.
That's a bit late.
Yeah, he's good. He played reserves footy with us as well. So, and look, that looks a lot more spectacular than it is.
Here's what's coming up this weekend on Sports AFL. Port Adelaide and Fremantle from Adelaide. And that's at 8:15 Eastern Time. We'll have our own commentators there. And at the MCG, North and Adelaide at 1:45. That's on Saturday.
When is
it?
That's on the Sunday. The other one's obviously the Saturday night. Yep.
Saturday night and Sunday. Those two matches in that order. Thanks for joining us, boys. Thanks,
Pleasure.
Paddy's Pies. Did you get stuck into them before the program?
Haven't touched one this year. Discipline.
We don't get a chance.
Even better.
Oh, we're back onto that joke
Thanks
again.
for joining
That's
us. And good night.
This has been a Sports AFL production.
Why lose with Telstra's 3 rates per minute to the UK and USA? Day, night, and weekend. When you could win with Primus Globe Talk's 1 low rate. We're always just 37 cents per minute, and we have no joining fees, no contracts, and no minimum calls. Primus. Join us. Call 1300 36 14 66.